And I can't forget that we've got to get in the festive mood today, so I'm putting on my festive glasses. Hopefully I look nice and foolish for everyone. And I'm going to get started with sharing my slides so we can get into today's session. We've got lots of exciting updates for you today, including a bit of a year in review. Before we do get started, and I pass it to Pierre, just the usual housekeeping notes. We are recording this. Unfortunately, we are live streaming to the internet so that everyone can see my lovely glasses. Yeah, if you get disconnected at any time, feel free to go over to our YouTube page to keep an eye on things there. As always, feel free to leave your comments in the Q&A section. If you've got any questions throughout the session, feel free to put them there. We will have opportunity at the end for you to raise your hand and come on stage to ask questions too. I think that's going to be it for me for now, though, and I'm going to hand over to Pierre.
Hey, hello everyone, this is me at my most festive, and just like Miles, this is slightly terrifying. This year we cooked something really special for you. We got our best engineers on the case to burn our database and get some fantastic metrics that represent the economic impact and the guest experiences that you guys have been having during this year 2024. So there's going to be a lot of numbers. We've packed them up, we triple checked. Here we go. The first number, how many guests have you accommodated? And together across Hospitable host, you've together welcomed 22 million guests across 191 countries out of 242 that have an ISO 3160 thingy, 2-letter code. So pretty much everybody's been traveling, and you guys have hosted 22 million of them across a very diversified list of countries. So everyone around the world. Next number, how many check-in does it represent? 60,000 guests checking in every day. That's a massive numbers. That's basically my hometown checking in every day at one of your properties. The next number, what is the highest top date for our customers? That's been for 2024, the 24th of May. The force be with you. That's something we should add. And together on that night, 32,000 reservations. That represents probably 120,000 guests. We couldn't get that number specifically, how many guests have been checking in on that night. That's a bit of a thing I was not expecting that. Typically for short-term rentals, it's really the New Year's Eve. That's the top night of the year. So now it's getting a bit more diversified, especially across our customer base. Not pretty much a surprise here, based on vacation rentals. Next one. And this one, I'm going to ask a little bit of your opinion. If you can send an estimate in the chat, because that one is not a number we were expecting even ourselves. Is how much our customers have been making during the year 2024, all combined. And knowing that it's a record-breaking number, definitely for Hospitable, and I believe for many of you this year. Can you send a few estimates on the chat of how much Hospitable hosts have been making during the past year? Just to get a bit of a sense, because we were really surprised at that number. If you can send something in the chat, just basically to get ourselves a bit warmed up. I see a 50 million on the chat, a 20 million in the chat. What else? Do we have a third one, a third guess? 1.2 billion for Morgan. Ah, Morgan, that's the kind of energy I like. You know, there's a B in it. And actually, pretty far off. Let's reveal the number. $4.6 billion in payout this year across 130,000 properties. And I think there was a number, 5.6 million reservations. $4.6 billion together. That's the level of economic impact that Hospitable today and during the past year has had across short-term rentals. I see more of amazing numbers now, amazing comments. That is really stratospheric. So we're really happy to be celebrating that particular number with you. That I believe those numbers are harder to compute, but my insight was basically telling me this is at least double what our customers were securing in payouts last year. Now, out of that number, what we particularly pay attention to is direct bookings. Direct bookings, unsurprisingly, have been growing a lot. So let's reveal how much growth really for 2024 you guys have been booking on direct. So that's 440% growth. And in total, that's $28 million so far that have been processed by Hospitable hosts from Direct Basic or Direct Premium. We don't really discriminate on that in 2024. And the year is not over. I hope there are going to be more bookings, of course, for Christmas, for New Year's Eve, etc. But now this is really the amount that is being paid out, and there is going to be more millions to come, obviously, during the following weeks and, of course, month. 440% growth, that would be fantastic to replicate for 2025, by the way. Another thing, to measure the economic impact, and that is really secret. It's really hard to get that number from your own experience. Typically, there is no way to know. We've been diving into the databases, into those tables, and we got the numbers ourselves. So how much has collectively been paid by your guest or yourself as host to online booking platforms in service fees, whether that's guest fees or host fees? We're changing the mood here maybe a little bit. So let's reveal the number. How much in service fees? That's a very big fun number. $792 million have been paid by Hospitable hosts to online travel agencies, most of which to Airbnb, about $500 million directly for the entire year 2024. And here we're counting from beginning of November to end of November. So really we're counting for the past 12 full months. So we've done a little bit of math here. And that's really, what if we were really ambitious and even lofty, quite frankly, direct bookings were representing 30% of the bookings, rather than the existing market share that direct is representing across all Hospitable customers. And you can see 4.6 billion in total payouts compared with 30 million in payouts for 2024 for a product that has really evolved very nicely this year. If there was 30% of bookings that were taken direct instead of through Airbnb, Vrbo, and booking on Expedia, we would be saving, reveal the number, Miles? 458 million saved. And that's net of any fees that would be taken into account in payment processing on direct or in direct premium service fees, for example. That's 450 million that instead of moving towards an online travel agency, online on Airbnb, would be moving into the guest hands as savings or into the host hands as basically just that little bit of extra revenue. That's a massive number, and you can actually do something about it coming in the next few weeks, in the next few days, even in the next hour. Derek will have an update for you on that. You can take a decision. That's also particularly important because Q1 is really the time of the year where guests are booking for vacation rentals, for short-term rentals, for spring and for the summer. So the next few weeks can really make a difference for those that are motivated to explore more direct bookings. And sure, but there are a lot of risks that are assessed with it. And because of Direct Premium, we have already a bit of insights into those, basically what the risk profile that we're taking in the number of chargebacks and insurance claims that we basically have been processing together as a company. So with Direct Premium, we operate as a merchant of record. That means we are the one taking the risk in terms of chargebacks. During the year, we have protected our hosts against 63 chargebacks that are worth $60,000. That's $60,000 that went out of our pocket and into the host pocket in case that basically we were able to defend, we would always defend them, but basically we protected the host against those chargebacks that probably were fraudulent in the first place. And in terms of insurance, we're also very special because with Direct Premium, we also help you protect your properties with a $5 million insurance. And we've processed 67 claims, and that's in total $42,000 that have been paid back to our host for damage committed by guests booked by direct at no extra cost. Just basically it's part of the same bundle with direct premium. So I hope I'm driving the point here. You can really save a lot of money and drive more economic impact for yourself with a product like direct bookings and direct premium maybe in particular. Of course, you went to Hospitable because you wanted to save some time, because you're hosting remotely, because you have a busy life, a busy work, and you want to host a little bit longer and be able to automate a lot of your processes and communication with your guest. That's the first thing that we launched at Hospitable, and that's the thing that I believe we're still over the market on that part with innovating into AI. So how much time in total did we save you, all our customers combined? That's 4.7 million hours that we've saved if we compared with the alternative, which would be typing the message, all those messages yourself. That's the equivalent of, 535 years of free time. What was happening on this earth 535 years ago? I actually should have checked that number. That should have checked. But yeah, so what does it represent in terms of time? What could you do with 500 years? We've done the math with everyone's second favorite planet. That's enough time to travel 2 miles and back 305 times. And Bobby, the engineer that has performed this math, has really explained to me that's expecting a landing and actually really limited times of 9 months, something like this, 15 months there, once and back. You can trust the engineer, so basically nailing that part down. And yeah, really hoping that we would have an HQ on Mars somewhere this century or the next, just to have some fun. I'm sure that can be fun with lower gravity. Now, of those messages and of that time saving, there has been something new this year. So how many messages? So that's 25 million messages sent to your guest. So that represents a massive number. But including 4.1 million, and that's the next slide, and that's the next slide, and that's a new thing that has been coming this year with so those 4.1 million messages that have been improved with AI or generated with AI. So that's either the improve with AI button or the suggest with AI button altogether. So that's a number of messages that have been generated across our user base. There are many alternatives that would tell you big numbers about big things about will the first, etc. Ask them about the numbers of messages that have been sent. We are absolutely confident that there is no vendor in the industry right now that is sending more AI-assisted messages ever. And that's going to compound over time. Now, there is one last number that I really wanted to be sharing with you, and that's taxes. That's kind of a proxy for community impact, and we know that communities can have emotions around short-term rentals and vacation rentals. And again, unless you are looking at it from a tax return, you don't really know how much taxes have been paid on your behalf by those booking platforms, or that you've paid yourself. The part you paid yourself, we probably obviously are more familiar with. So we wanted to compute that numbers, the economic impact to local communities performed by Hospitable hosts combined. Let's reveal the number. Again, that's a very big one. $424 million that have been paid in lodging taxes, most of which are overwhelmingly in the United States. That I don't know if we're going to have a bridge under our names, or if we're going to have, trash pickup services with gold-plated trucks that basically would have the Hospitable host logo or faces around it. But that is the kind of thing that short-term rentals help locally with communities, with our local communities. And so we're very proud that, for example, with Direct, we also want to contribute more on that front. So that's just a few numbers. Obviously, on behalf of the entire Hospitable team, I want to thank you for your trust and confidence for 2024, hoping that it can renew into 2025. And we are going to look back at those numbers fondly at this time next year when we've been able to grow again so much more with what we are cooking for you all. You will receive as well your own year in review. In the coming few days, we will share all the numbers as they apply to you. I think on Friday, we're aiming Friday. Don't keep me accountable too much on that. We want to have the right numbers. and you will be able to see for yourself the right numbers, taxes, and service fees that you've been paying and what we estimate the time that you have saved. And I think there's probably going to be a reference or two about toilet paper for some reason. Getting back to you a bit later, but Miles has actually something else to say about the community impact. It's not just about paying taxes, it's also about meeting you all. Miles?
Awesome. Thank you very much, Pierre. Yes, definitely. So I think Pierre talks a lot about community there towards the end, and that's really important for us as a brand. For us, we want to connect more with the community that we're working with, and we want more of that community to connect with each other. And so something that we obviously did in 2024 was our Host and Toast roadshow. It was going out into the community and meeting hosts like you in person in the cities that you actually host in. So really that's something that we really want to expand this year, community as a whole, and specifically the events that we're hosting. So you may remember from the last town hall, and you may have seen it over email. I've been asking, where do you want us to go in 2025? And we generally want to hear your input. We've already had a bunch of input from people. So I just want to kind of quickly share some of the top destinations so far. And this is purely based on votes from customers like you. These are the top destinations that have been picked so far by customers. No input from us on these destinations. So if you don't agree with these locations, if your city is not on the list, make it happen. Just scan the QR code, head to that link, let us know what is the top city or cities you'd like to see us come visit. Tell Pierre where he's going to get a flight to next year. There's going to be Pierre and a bunch of us there to meet you in person. So let us know what is the top destination on your list for you to see us in.
I have my own list. Can I really ask people that are watching the replay on YouTube in Australia, Japan, for example, if you could please upvote some specific location? I think that would be great. There would be a lot of people wanting to show up for those Host and Toast. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that. And I'm taking over again, because you didn't hear enough of me, on the team side, because we're not going on vacation. The work is still happening, and we've performed a few onboardings recently with the team. And I'm gonna summon first Alison, who is based in Panama, to be introducing herself as she's joining our sales team. Alison.
Thank you.
Alison is not shy. Yeah, go ahead. Tell us a bit more about you.
All right. Well, so Alison, joining as a sales executive, located in Panama City, Panama. If you can't tell, not necessarily a Panamanian accent coming your way. It is a Canadian accent. And so I've been in Panama since 2015, and I'm really excited to speak with potential customers and help create a really cool community for you all of new hosts, and make sure that we're bringing on people that are going to get big impact and get some of those numbers that we just saw into their own accounts as well. And so I guess a fun fact about me, other than living in Panama, which is always just a fun fact to chat about, I will also say, I guess the fun fact coming from where I'm actually from, I'm from a very small town in Canada called Little Britain, Ontario. Most people don't ever believe that's actually the name of the town that I'm from, but if you check my ID, it says Little Britain, Ontario. And some of you may get a giggle if you are familiar with British TV programming. So other people who don't know the show, don't look into it. Well, actually, maybe do, because it's pretty hilarious. But I do also have some neighbors from home that fit the bill for that that cast.
That's a pretty good one. I didn't realize it because now it's actually very hard to keep a straight face. But hey, champagne for everyone. Next, we have again, Matt, who's coming from Little Britain, but now you killed it. Like, she killed it. Now I can't introduce yourself the way I want to. He's coming from the only country that's badass enough to have a dragon on its flag. Go ahead, Matt. What are you going to be up to?
Hi everyone, I'm Matt. I'm joining as a product engineer as part of the core team. Very proud to be here, very happy to be here. Looking forward to gifting you your time back and shipping some features really soon. Fun fact about me, my wife and I actually rent out play equipment for children's parties on weekends. That's my fun fact. Very happy to be here.
That's a fantastic pivot. I'm sure we're going to create a fantastic booking engine for this kind of activity. That's great. Thank you, Matt, for joining us. Thank you, Alison, for joining us, of course, earlier. And we have also our Yay. Yeah, what's up?
Yes. Hi, I'm Arye. I'm actually originally from Amsterdam. Yeah.
Yeah. Arye was asked to be standing against the wall so that we can see that he's actually wearing company swag. That's a
Yes.
level of harassment and abuse that's actually happening in this company. We put you against the wall. Yeah.
It's actually crazy how soft this sweater is. I was amazed by putting it on. I can't stop touching it, but I'll refrain from touching myself on camera. So yeah, I'll be joining the product engineer as a product engineer, on the AI team, going through onboarding process at the moment, which has been fantastic. Meeting the team has been incredible, but I can't wait to dive in and start shipping kind of more magical moments with AI. And yeah, finally, a fun fact about me. I've been sharing this with the team already. So I've lived in 6 different countries so far, and I actually counted that there was 12 different cities. And then if I remember all the addresses correctly, it's been across 18 addresses so far, and it's gonna soon be 19 because I'm moving on Friday again.
That's terrifying. Level of trauma that goes with every move. Thank you very much, Arye, working on AI as part of a team of 3 working on AI. Everyone else is working on the core product. Now, this is a fantastic company. You've heard it from Arye directly. There's fantastic swag that's there to be earned. So we still are recruiting for a principal UI, UX, product designer. Expectations are incredibly high for that particular role. We're also on the lookout for a very special, unique, I think, role in the industry, which is an accountant in residence. We are not looking for an accountant to help with Hospitable financials. We're looking for a short-term rental expert that knows their way around the tax code, but also can have fantastic conversations with customers that are struggling with understanding anything about accounting while coaching our own product team about the work that's ahead of us in terms of accounting integrations, in terms of trust accounting, cost segregation, the kind of thing that we would love to build for owners and managers in 2025. And what's new is the customer support advocate lead or lead customer support advocate, depending on how you look at it. We are looking for a talented individual that can help with running the day-to-day of our US support team or American support team during working hours. This role that's obviously very critical, considering that 12,000, 13,000 of our customers that are based in America. And so we want to make sure we're servicing them well, that we're appropriately staffed, have the right processes in place to do that in connection with our new leader for the support organization that has been working behind the scenes since June and will be revealed in January when she's finally working for us full time. So we're very, very excited about introducing you to her. And without further ado, another senior leader that's been recruiting this year is Derek, and he's going to be on screen to explain to you something new from his own experience. We now are doing onboarding. Wow. Go ahead, Derek.
All right, great. Good afternoon to everybody, or good morning, wherever you're coming from, and happy holiday season to you. So I want to start by telling a story of a host. In comes the next slide. A host who made some improvements to his business from 2023 to 2024. Now, this host happens to be what we call a self-manager, meaning manages the short-term rental business himself, has a full-time job. And in this case, this host actually transitioned jobs during 2024 and actually joined the Hospitable team, and that was me. So what you see here in the screenshots is the from my short-term rental business. I was a customer before I still am a customer of Hospitables, but joined full-time about 4 months ago. And I was able to make some small improvements to my short-term rental business that resulted in about 20% additional revenue from the same number of listings and increasing occupancy 5% for some things, just tuning up my Hospitable account and giving a little bit of attention to some areas that I knew were long overdue. So the tune-ups that I ended up making, I added all and scaled up my Vrbo listings. So I was only on Airbnb for 7 years and finally bit the bullet and went on Vrbo. I also started charging for early check-in and late checkout. And now I have a 15% success rate of getting my existing guests to do what I call TP and PT money. That's toilet paper and paper towel money, charging extra for early check-in and late checkout. I also end up I have a small multifamily building, and I had just been listing each one of these properties individually. And when Hospitable launched its parent-child feature, I was now able to create additional listings on Airbnb and Vrbo that was for 2, 3, and 4 of those listings for higher occupancy listings. Those have been a huge benefit to the business, where my average daily rate is 2 to 3 times larger, because when I put the whole quadplex in one listing, it's now the largest occupancy listing in my local area. So I book it out for weddings and large groups as well. And I also got intentional about direct bookings. I knew it had been launched. I had launched my website, but I really had not incorporated. So this is my learnings have helped inform, along with lots of conversations with the Hospitable team, current customers, and existing customers. So with that context in mind, next slide, we are happy to announce that we now have an onboarding team here at Hospitable that is full-time, solely dedicated to walking you and your team through the Hospitable product. Maybe you were onboarded 5 years ago, maybe you just got onboarded recently. The program is one-to-one, it is live, it is on pre-scheduled calls. So you'll have an onboarding specialist for you. It's just you and an onboarding specialist. We have an agenda. It's typically 3 calls and 1 follow-up call afterwards. And we're going to walk you through everything. Like sometimes we hear that hosts are like, you know what, I'm having these emails be sent to me all the time, and I want to just know how to turn those off. And maybe it's because you just haven't gone under the settings, right? Or maybe you want some advanced tactics on direct bookings or to set up custom codes. You know, we have a lot of custom codes and short codes, but you may think that they're maybe not fully tuned for your business. So we'll walk through all of these things. We'll help set up automated reviews, and a lot of the new features that have been launched in the last 6 months to a year, we'll make sure that we cover those. During these calls, we also have now a dedicated contact at Vrbo. So if you're someone who is just on Airbnb and you've not migrated or duplicated your listings on Vrbo, we have a program now that we will do that for you for free. We will we'll walk you through this process. It's actually in coordination with a Vrbo representative that we have. And then many of you may also not be on booking.com just simply because the process requires a bit more attention to detail. There's a few more extra steps. We will walk you through this process as well, okay? So this is a program that we are offering a promotion to our existing customers through the end of this year, a measly $250. In my example, I actually did pay somebody who knew Hospitable I think I paid about $1,500 to walk through the program, set up my custom codes, add on Vrbo. So I wish we would have had this program at the point in which I was looking to tune up my account. So we've really priced this to break even. The team is ready. We're open for business. Okay, so this team's calendar is starting to get bookings, but we're offering it to all new customers, sort of as they come on board. But we're also offering it to existing customers. If you are interested, just send me an email directly, and if you have questions, or I'll be happy to get that scheduled for you. Want to thank everyone involved, the onboarding team, all the Hospitable team, for helping get to this point of launch. So with that, I will turn it back over to, I believe, the connectivity team.
Thanks, Eric. Happy holidays to everyone. Yes, connectivity team. No, you have me today. A couple of things to talk about in terms of connectivity. First, something I think that a lot of you have been feeling the pain of. There has been a lack of the ability to kind of import external calendars in some way into Hospitable. Well, we're working on it. It's coming very soon. So you'll have the ability very soon to add any basically external iCal feed that has a URL that can be from HipCamp, Hopper, Plum Guide, and other rental providers out there. What will happen is we'll import all the bookings from there, make sure the calendar is blocked, and if there are emails in the events, automated messaging will work as you expect it to. And if not, you can just go into your calendar, add an email that you know that the guest has to that booking, and then automated messaging kicks in again. We aim to make this as easy and as intuitive to you as possible. Stay tuned, coming soon. One other thing to note on connectivity, the Agoda integration is now in open pilot. So if you have Agoda listings already live, in our help center, so that's help.hospitable.com, search Agoda, you'll have a help article there that walks you through the onboarding process and simply scheduling a call with our team, and we'll get you set up on Hospitable with Agoda. That's on connectivity, and I'll stay on for just a little bit more to talk about mobile. Over the last few town halls, we've talked quite a bit about focusing more and more on improving the mobile app experience. That's both on speed, how quickly kind of the interface responds to your actions, how easy it is to navigate between the different pages, find what you're looking for. Like folks are chatting, messaging in our chat today. Yes, sometimes the text is way too light for you to see. And as you painfully know, typing a message in a conversation can be a very painful experience with the keyboard kind of making everything jump around, and it's just horrible to manage. So we're focusing on all of that, and I'm gonna announce two quick things. One is a recent fix, another is coming up real soon. So first, the badge count on iPhone is finally fixed. That has taken way longer than it should have. Small thing, but finally that's out of the way. But the big thing on the next slide is we have mentioned, at least in the last town hall, if not two ago, that we've been working on a redesign or a relayout of the conversation view. And this is coming out to everyone, we hope, next Monday. So that's Monday the 16th. And what this will do is, first of all, it will make the positioning consistent with the message box at the bottom. The message is kind of ordered from latest to earliest going upwards. A lot more real estate and just focus available for the messages themselves, with all the details kind of available with other buttons. And most importantly, I think here, the chaotic kind of editing and the jumping around of the message box, the keyboard, everything, that will be fixed with this update. So look out for that. If you're enrolled in our beta features, that's in your preferences, you should already have this by today. And if not, you'll have it by Monday. So hopefully that solves a major issue for a lot of our customers. Now, as I said, we're focusing more and more on mobile. We now have a team of 4 focused purely on the front end. So that's the web app and the mobile app experiences. And we're doubling down on improving things across the board there. If you have something to tell us in terms of what's not working for you or what you would like to see, please go to feedback.hospitable.com. Leave a comment either in an existing request that somebody else has made already, or if you don't find something that is specific to your case, please just write something to us. We take a look at all of that. So that's feedback.hospitable.com. That's it for mobile.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. Hey, everyone. So some more device updates for you this week. Our private pilot for Ecobee and Honeywell thermostats is still ongoing. But we have some great news. We're moving thermostats to a public beta. So like Nick just mentioned, you can enable beta features in preferences. But we'll begin the rolling out process to users next week, loosely penciled in for Wednesday, the 18th currently, but potentially subject to change. There'll be no cost to connect thermostats and use the integration during the beta period. We'll then plan to introduce pricing February 1st next year. And that pricing will align with our existing smart lock pricing. So for example, if you're on the professional plan, you'll receive 1 free device, smart lock or thermostat per active property, And additional devices, again, smart lock or thermostat will be $5 each. This is great as you can choose between one free smart lock or thermostat per property. And also that thermostat integration should absolutely pay for itself several times over with the energy bill savings whilst gifting you back time and keeping your guests comfortable. So very exciting there. Some other device updates. So we have some changes to the property access panel in the inbox coming later today. We've added in thermostats and thus renamed it to the smart device panel instead. So now when you have thermostats connected, you'll be able to see the current temperature of the property, the preset state, when the next scheduled preset change will happen for the reservation and the thermostat, and then also make quick adjustments to the temperature settings right from the conversation thread. More updates and features will be coming soon, but for now, that is all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. So for direct, we're going to start by talking about something that is not just relevant to direct anymore, or at least soon will not be. So if you've joined the last couple of town halls, you've been hearing me talk about rental agreements. And later this week, rental agreements are going to be available for all platforms for our beta users. So I wanted to walk through what that will look like. So rental agreements are going to be part of your digital check-in workflow. So guests are going to complete this check-in process from the guest portal, and that check-in process is going to include any required tasks or information that you need to collect from your guests before they can check in to your property. So today that will include rental agreements and guest verification, and that may expand over the future as we add additional functionality that's integrated into the check-in process, like, for example, security deposits. And as part of the check-in process, we are going to automatically send reminders to guests who have not or who have outstanding check-in tasks that they need to complete. So that will happen automatically for you, but you'll be able to see the scheduled reminders in the reservation activity in the inbox. And if you need to edit or cancel a scheduled reminder, you'll have the ability to do that, but there won't be anything you need to set up to send those scheduled reminders out. We'll take care of that for you, and we will stop sending reminders once we get those check-in tasks completed. We will also pause scheduled check-in messages until the guest has completed those required check-in tasks. And then just a note on that, if you are already using rental agreements or if you're going to start using them for other platforms as soon as they're available, you're not going to see that happen immediately. We're going to probably release that feature sometime next week once we're feeling absolutely confident that those reminders are working well and getting the guests to sign the rental agreement and complete their required check-in tasks. You will also be able to view and download rental agreements from the inbox. So in the inbox, we now have a guest portal component where you can see the status of rental agreements, so you can see any pending rental agreements, or you can download signed rental agreements. And you can also now copy the link to the guest portal from here. So if you needed to resend that link to the guests, you can do that. You can also go to that URL yourself and take a look at what the guest sees. So you can access that now from the guest portal already, actually, if you're using Direct. This is available now. And then, of course, it'll be available for you if you're using rental agreements for all platforms once that's available. So this is all coming this week and into next week for rental agreements, but we are not going to be done there. So next up for rental agreements, we are going to allow you to create optional agreements that you can add to individual reservations. So for example, let's say a guest needs to sign a waiver to use your hot tub, or if you have agreed with the guest that you're going to rent bikes or kayaks or other some form of equipment, you can go into the inbox and add that rental agreement specifically for that reservation. So that will be coming next. And then we are also going to allow you to create form fields to collect additional information from your guests, like email, additional guest names and contact information, vehicle information if you need license plate numbers for cars if they're going to be parked at your property. And that will be part of the check-in process. So they'll complete the registration form, sign the rental agreement, all in one workflow. All right, and then moving on to reviews on your direct site. So we've made some improvements to reviews. So we've improved our selection criteria so that we are displaying the best, most helpful 5-star reviews on your direct sites. So we're now looking for reviews that have 5 stars in all categories and meet a minimum number of words. And you can see in that real example there, the impact that's had on the reviews that we're displaying on your direct sites. We've also added review and aggregate rating to Google Rich Results, which help highlight key information for your site. And the goal there is to use that information to help improve search engine ranking for your sites as well. And then lastly, we have another review related feature coming soon to Direct. So we're going to allow you to start sending and receiving reviews for direct bookings. We're actually going to start by asking you after you've hosted a guest on a direct booking, if you'd recommend that guest to other hosts so that you as a host can share your experience. You can have a voice in your experience hosting guests just like you do on the OTAs. And we are going to make that information available to other Hospitable hosts and allow you to check reviews for guests before you accept a booking. We'll also disable instant. So if you're using Instant Book, we will not allow a booking to be automatically accepted if that guest has not been recommended by other hosts. And so that is you reviewing your guests, and then we'll also allow guests to review you next so that you can collect more 5-star reviews that we can show on your direct website. And that's it for direct.
Hey, everybody. I have a couple of updates about the Mogul plan for you guys today. First, features around expense management. So we heard from many of our Mogul hosts that we were missing some of the more robust expense management features. We've always allowed you to add transactions and call them either an expense or a credit and then charge that to the owner or credit the owner. But that was kind of it. It was very simple. So recently we've released the ability to upload a receipt to that attachment. That receipt will then show on the statement in the UI. And if you go to download that statement to then share with your owner, on the next screen, we'll actually download a zip file that contains the statement itself, as well as any of the receipts that were attached to relevant transactions. So it's in a nice little easy package for you to share with your owners. Of course, we've talked about working on owners portals. Eventually, you won't have to download this and email it to your owners, but this is kind of our first step on the way there. Similar with transactions, we're working now on recurring transactions. So we've heard from a lot of you that it's nice to be able to add transactions, but it's annoying because every month, typically the same types of transactions are occurring. So we're working now on recurring transactions, and we're starting with weekly and monthly transactions. So these are going to be things that are fixed fees that happen every week or every month that you want to charge your owner for. So this might be a weekly trash fee. It might be a monthly software fee. We've heard from many of our hosts that they're adding a $30 a month software fee to cover the cost of their Hospitable bill, which is pretty cool and very standard in other industries to do things like that. After we've released weekly and monthly transactions, we're going to be allowing you to create a transaction that basically increases the quantity according to every booked night in that month. So this is going to work for things like a resort fee, where maybe you owe the resort $50 for every single night that a guest stayed in that property. So what that would end up looking like on the statement is a single transaction called resort fee $50 with a quantity of 20 or whatever that aligns with the nights that you had booked in that particular month. So those recurring transactions are in progress and should be out to you all soon. A couple of town halls ago, you all met some of the Mogul team's new members, Devin and Uran. So we now have 3 backend product engineers working on the Mogul team, focused on features for our Mogul plan users. And these 3 big projects are all being worked on right now and should come out to you soon as well. We're continuing to work on the QuickBooks integration, which we've been sharing in the past couple of town halls. It looks like we're on track to start a private pilot pretty soon. We're running a little bit behind our originally scheduled private pilot date, but that should still come out soon, so that in January, those of you who use QuickBooks can get your accounts connected and have all of those accounting things automated for you in 2025. We're also starting work on revenue recognition options. So if you're using owner statements right now, you know that we currently only recognize revenue based on the check-in date. So that's fine for a lot of people. However, if you have a reservation that maybe starts in January and ends in February, we would recognize the entire revenue in January and none in February. So if you do a lot of midterm stays or find yourself in that situation a lot, it just causes a little bit of confusion when you might see a lot of revenue in one month and nothing on the next if it's from a longer reservation. So we're going to give you the option to choose a different way to recognize your revenue. So if you do a lot of midterm stays, or if you just want to do this because it is the best practice, you can prorate that. And what that would do is it would recognize the revenue for that reservation on the day that you earned that revenue. So if it overlaps months or is several months long, you'll see the revenue on all of the months where that reservation stayed. And then last but certainly not least, handling adjustments on statements. So this one is kind of tough because the information that we receive from the OTAs about resolutions or adjustments is very minimal. We don't receive a lot of information. And so we don't exactly know like what that resolution was for. So we've recruited Nick and the AI team to help us figure that out for you and make a really great suggestion for how this adjustment should be handled on your statement. So one example might be you had some guests check in, they brought a pet, but they forgot to put that pet on their reservation. Maybe you saw on the camera that they came in with a dog. And so you charged them a pet fee via an Airbnb resolution request. We can actually probably guess that because we see the conversation you've had with the guest and we see the total of the resolution aligns with what you would have charged for your pet fee. So we can surface that adjustment for you and say, we think this is a pet fee and we see that you typically give 50% of the pet fee to your owners. Does that sound right? And you can just confirm and we'll handle that properly on the statement. So I'm super excited about that one. That's kind of the last missing piece for the statements to be like a full cohesive thing where we're making sure that you're not losing track of a single cent and that everything is going to be documented properly for your owners. So those are all things being worked on now. And the owners portal is still something that we're taking calls about, research calls, doing a lot of digging, trying to learn what it is that you guys want. So I know everybody's excited about owners portal. We haven't quite started the work yet, which means you have a lot of opportunity to kind of inform what we build. So scan that QR code and share your thoughts with us, add comments to that feature-based feedback request and tell us what it is that you're looking for in an owners portal. That's all I've got for today. So back to Miles for events.
Cool. Thank you very much, Emily. Yeah, and very conscious on time here, so I'm going to give a very speedy update, but just a quick call out of a couple of events that we have coming up. So tomorrow, in fact, we're going to be hearing more from Abby with our direct Q&A. We also have Gil Chan from Crafted Stays, who I think is lurking in the chat somewhere. He is going to be on giving some tips for how to grow your direct booking traffic. And we're also going to have one of our successful hosts on who has reached $500,000, I believe US, from their direct booking site. So they're going to talk a bit about how they've achieved that and how they've grown with Hospitable. A couple of other events coming up for those of you with properties in Victoria, Australia. Probably not many of them listening to the live session, but if you're watching the recording, we do have a session on the new tax coming in there next week. So please do register for that. And finally, as we've already mentioned, this is our last town hall of 2024. The next town hall will be January 8th in the new year, where we'll report on everything that we've been working on over the holiday period. And so we're going to fire straight into the Q&A now. So if you haven't already raised your hand and you'd like to ask a question live on stage, If you go down to the react button at the bottom, in there you should be able to see a little raise hand button. That'll let us know that you'd like to ask a question live. We do already have someone with a hand raised. So Carrie, I'm going to open the floor up to you. Do you have a question for us? Hello, Carrie. I think that's a no for now. I'm going to take these off because I'm okay, we're gonna move on to the next one, and Carrie, you can raise your hand again if you do want to ask a question. Chinedu, inviting you on stage instead. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, team?
Hey.
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Appreciate you guys having me right now.
Okay, how can we help?
Yeah, I have a question. So I asked this in the chat as well, and there's like a discrepancy with the revenue you guys say I would make on Airbnb opposed to what Airbnb says I made. So I just wanted to know when will you guys just like accurately be able to track revenue coming in from Airbnb?
Hey, I can answer that one. So we only just recently, like in the past couple of weeks, started actively looking for adjustments or resolutions that you have on your Airbnb account. Before, anytime we showed adjustments or resolutions in your financials, that was picked up only if it came along with your reservation payout. And now we're actually asking Airbnb every single day, do they have adjustments? Do they have adjustments? Do they have adjustments? And so now from this point forward, we're expecting to always get adjustment information from Airbnb if there's a resolution or something. That's probably what's to blame for any discrepancy you saw before now. But if you're still seeing any discrepancies, definitely let us know and give us the reservation code, because our support team has the ability to manually reach out to Airbnb again and get the most updated financials at the reservation level. So if you do see those discrepancies, please reach out to support and let us know. But we think we've got it covered in most use cases. So you shouldn't experience that every time now.
Okay, and when you're saying resolutions, are you referring to like claims?
Everybody uses resolutions differently. So it could just be that something that wasn't a part of the initial guest payment. So maybe the guest made a booking, maybe they extended it, maybe they shortened it. Anything that would result in you receiving your payout in multiple like transactions on your bank account, that would kind of count as a part of this.
Okay, I gotcha.
That can be insurance claim, basically a cover. That could also be anything that you're asking on airbnb.com/resolutions. So where there are a lot of fees that basically goes with that typically are not really reconciled with the reservation income. What we reported on before was actually the reservation income. So that's really based on accommodation for between a check-in and a check-out date. That's the really easy one.
Understood. Okay, so I'll just monitor it, and if I see any discrepancy, I'll just follow your instructions in the chat, Emily. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we want to get to the bottom of this. Thank you, Chinedu.
Okay, next up we have IQI Business Solutions.
Yeah, I think that's a usual. That's unusual. What's your name again?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. My name's Quentin. Sorry, that's my business's name, so it shows up automatically when I log in. So I actually got a couple of questions. I hope these are all quick. Firstly, as it relates to Schlage locks, how do I locate like that integration? Historically, I would go to like I believe it's called apps, and I can see like all the various integrations. But when I type in Schlage, it no longer shows there. So can you help me locate that?
Super easy answer. There's now a devices section on the left side of your account. We hopefully made it easier to find, but maybe we made it harder. Yeah, just go to devices on the left side.
Yeah, you have a smart devices product with a full dashboard and control and transparency over the logic. It's no longer just an integration. It's something that we have taken a lot of ownership on. That's been a little bit of time, but it's never too late. You can connect your smart lock right now, and you'll be guided along the way.
Okay, and so I currently use Schlage. If I wanted to connect like a TT lock, for example, all the prompts will be there to add that new device, if you will.
Yeah, so you will have the list of all devices and integration that you support. I actually realized I was caught red-handed during a previous town hall where I didn't have the full list. there is a full list of smart locks that will be in the list. Is TT Lock in there, Jen? Yes, I seem to remember, but I kind of, Jen, go ahead.
Yeah, TT Locks is actually one of our newer ones. I'm shooting an article in the chat for everyone that lists all of our locks that we currently integrate with. So you can reference that and make sure it's one we support.
Absolutely.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that. Next up is software fees. So, pardon, I forget who was speaking, but they suggested possibly adding in a fee titled software fee. But I didn't quite follow that. Is that to be added on the direct side? Is that something we can add on other sites like Verbal and Airbnb? You mind just clarifying that quickly?
Yeah, so I should have opened that up a little bit differently too. So I was talking specifically about transactions on the Mogul plan. Those transactions are intended to be things that you want to charge your owner for. So if you're a property manager who works for an owner and you've purchased toilet paper and you want them to pay you back, you would add that as a transaction so that on their statement or on their invoice, it shows that they owe you that money. So that was what my example was there. If there's any other like fees that you want to charge to the guest on the reservation, that would need to be a fee added on the reservation specifically. So there's kind of those two different things. And for the software fee, we've heard of a lot of our hosts charging owners to cover the cost of Hospitable and other tech products that they're using to run their business, which is very standard in every other business in the world, but is maybe something that property managers are just starting to get used to doing. So that was kind of the suggestion there is if you're on the Mogul plan specifically, $30 would cover the cost of the Mogul plan for that property. So you could just add it right on there and call it a day.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. I probably missed that part where you distinguished that, but I get it now. And lastly, so for reviews that reflect on Google versus on a direct site, for example, I checked yesterday on Google Vacation Rentals, and it shows a rating, but not the actual reviews. And maybe I misunderstood, but I thought it would show the actual reviews that kind of compile from your various sites like Verbal or Airbnb. So you might just clarify what I should expect on Google Vacation Rentals with respect to reviews, as well as what I should see on my direct site?
Yep, they work a little bit differently. So what we're sending now to GVR is just your aggregate review score. It's still an open discussion about sending more. We don't always own your reviews. So Abby's announcement today that we'll start taking guest reviews that you own yourself and we have access to would allow us to do something there. And on your direct site, we are able to show attribution to the owner of those reviews, Airbnb. So we feel a bit more comfortable doing that. But yeah, at the moment, they work differently. We feel like the aggregate review score in GVR was all we needed to kind of unlock better performance there. But it's still, an open discussion. So hopefully we'll have some more updates from there soon.
Got it. Fair enough. Well, that's all for me. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Quinn. Okay, I think we have time to squeeze in the last hand raised. Jay, welcoming you on stage. Do you have a question for us?
Hello, Jay.
Hi, everybody. Hope you guys can hear me.
Perfectly.
So I did put a couple questions. I think I put one on the Q&A. I think someone told me to email Vera to figure out how I could sort of co-host or manage like 10 properties of a contact that I made here in Brazil, because I came to Brazil here to do a little bit of research, see how could I expand here. So essentially this guy's doing a demo with you guys tomorrow. But the question that him and I were trying to answer even before the demo was, could he outsource that for me, since I have a Hospitable account in the US as well, as he is very dissatisfied with his current channel manager. And he has a really cool product. But it's funny, he's been doing it for 5 years. He had never heard of Hospitable. So anyway, so that was an opportunity, a question, whatever. Cool question. I have a second one. Second one has to do with the TT lock and the devices. And he had more to do with, do we have any feedback from other hosts that are using specific brands of locks? For example, I'm using TT lock for the last 2 or 3 years. I have over 20 locks and I'm very dissatisfied. But before I go into like changing them all, right, to a different brand, I would love to have some sort of human feedback from people that are using the same way that I'm using, right, with this kind of stakes before I make that investment. So two questions, but still happy with Hospitable. I'm like, totally sold. So just wanted to put that out there. Thanks for taking my question.
Hi, Jay, Vera, a human with a human voice and human advice. So first of all, thank you for using Hospitable and thank you for liking us. Number one, for the first question on you and Eric, I did tell you to send me an email because I would like to have a call because there are so many moving pieces here. It's best if we sit down, discuss them, and see if it's better to split the account, have one account, have 5 accounts, depending on the situation. So please do email me on that. Second, for the smart locks, I did also answer in chat, so you have the link in there. But the Facebook group that we have is a very useful resource. It has a lot of our hosts in it, and you can ask them any question, including the smart lock one. And our hosts will respond with, hey, we're using this, or this one sucks, or this one is much better, or this one is a pink color that I really like. So those will be my answers. One, message me so we can figure out the Jay and Eric situation, and B, Facebook group for the smart locks. That way you get the most out of it.
I would quickly add from our perspective, as smart locks, the integration works the same regardless of the lock. So as long as it's one we can integrate with, like we like them all, they all work on our side. So yeah, I think Vera's suggestion's great. Like talk to other hosts to see if other hosts like certain locks over others. I think they're also like easier to find in certain locations. So that might be geographically dependent too, but our integration works the same for all of them.
Wonderful.
And there is also a price factor. I think we're going to be able to help our customers to acquire certain brands of locks that are coming very often recommended, such as Schlage, definitely, or Yale. The thing that is often being surfaced on social media is, for what I've heard, is really about coastal destinations. So if you have a lot of wind, a lot of salt, there are some locks that are more resilient than others. And similar, that it was an issue, for example, with Schlage in particular. So that's just, I've not heard anything myself about TT locks in particular. Some people love it. Some people find a way to hate it. I don't know, but there tends to depend. That's the thing. It tends to depend really on the environment. But hey, Miles, that's once again another idea for a poll. We could have a barometer of every quarter. What are the preferred locks brands based on a database plus feedback and feelings around it. Yeah, that's a pretty good thing.
I love it. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you very much, Jay. Okay. And we wrap it up. We have no hands raised. Happy holidays. So yeah, Miles, where the hell did you get that pair of glasses? Like that is really special.
I have no idea for the original source, but I found them in a bag of random Christmas stuff, so they got put on basically. The last thing I could find just before the call.
Yeah, obviously Emily is having the fantastic one. Yeah, thank you so very much for your support, trust, loyalty. Even, honesty at times during 2024. I know it's been a rough year. There's been lots of changes with Hospitable and outside of it and in the world. We're very happy to wrap this up with those kind of updates. The team, the product team in particular, our support team are still in motion. We are going on vacation, but we're not closing the shop. There will always be people, engineers, product managers, and support people for sure. And that basically will be there to support you during those early days. I really hope too that you're going to be able to take a break. The point of that product was really to allow me to have some. So I hope you can still extract the benefit for yourself during 2 weeks if you're lucky. But again, I'm European, so I probably have a different perspective than most. That was people listening. We'll be coming back in January with plenty of new updates. There are more new people joining the team that we're extremely excited about. I'm squeaking even. And we'll be having a special town hall on the 22nd or so of January, where we want to broadcast and communicate in terms that have never been so clear about what we aim for in 2025. That's going to be in terms of products, in terms of rollouts, in terms of goals. And we want to share that and be accountable, because obviously that's going to happen, that's going to still exist on YouTube, and we're going to be very happy, I hope, by replaying that this time next year. Thank you so very much. Have a great rest of your day. Have fantastic vacation, fantastic holidays, and yeah, be the best host you can ever be. Ciao, ciao. Have a great time. See you later.